Hello, Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here, and hope you've been having a good day. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late, or maybe a minute, which is not too bad I guess. I was trying to get my laptop to talk to the printer, but it wasn't having any of it, but so there you go. Anyway, so I'm hoping that this is now live. I've done a little bit of a change around, so hopefully I can now actually see what's going on. Yes, I can, which is good. And I've got the sound off on my laptop, so I don't need to worry about that. So that's the main thing. Anyway, so today I thought I would pop on for this stamping and creating and share with you one of the bundles which is part of the Perfect Partners promotion, which actually ends at the end of this month. So it's the 21st today, so we've got until the 30th. For those of you who haven't seen it, there are 6 die sets which have been designed to go with 6 stamp sets. 4 of them are from the annual catalogue and 2 of them are from the July to December mini catalogue, and they're only going to be available for this month. So I did share with you the other week one of the bundles, which was the let's remind myself, she says it was the Fresh Cut Flowers bundle. That was the card that where I cased the one that was actually on the flyer, and then today I've got some projects to share with you using the Apple Harvest bundle. So I already had the stamp set, I bought that a while back, so I just purchased the dies. It's up, if you're interested, you can, if you've already got the stamp set, you can buy just the dies. If you don't have either, then you can buy the bundle should you so desire. And to do that, if you just go to oakvillecrafts.com and click on the shop button at the top, and that will then take you to my online shop. So without further ado, I am going to show you the stamp set. So it's 8 stamps, it's red rubber, looks like this. The actual images shown on the front are at 90%, so they're not full size. Obviously once you open up the box you can actually see the actual size, and then the dies look like this. Whoops, she says. I made a bit of a mess of that. I thought I had them the right way around, but obviously not. So these are all the dies, and the nice thing about it is that there are various dies that will coordinate directly with the stamp set. So this one and this one and this one all cut out these 3, and then this one and that one is the same, we'll cut out the little flower. So you have all those opportunities to actually die cut rather than fussy cutting. But what I love is the fact that there are these extra dies. So there is a sentiment die that will cut out that one and that one. That one's too wide, so that one won't work for it. There is a little scallop which I'll show you. So it actually cuts out, so you can use this as is, or you can just use the little bit that comes out the middle. That's obviously a different colour. That was one that I used to cut some of the paper for one of the cards. So you can see it's a very thin scallop shape, which you can use on its own, or you can use it as an extra border. And that was the other bit that came off from that green bit. So that's the border, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 flowers. You've got 2 each of the 2 different sizes. You then have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I want to say that there are 8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there are 8 different, not different, 8 different sized leaves. And again, you've got 3 of the larger ones, and you've got 5 of the smaller. So it's great if you want to die cut lots of them. You don't actually have to wind the machine for each individual one. You can just basically get your piece of cardstock and just put them all on there, and then wind it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Obviously, if you're going to cut it through the mini, you'd want it to have that a bit narrower. And then there are these 4 little pieces, which are, I've used them for stamens. I did think afterwards, actually, I could use them to create stars and all sorts of things. So they're quite sweet. And then there is also a branch. So it's very versatile. So you could use the dies by themselves, or you can coordinate them with the these ones with the actual images. It's entirely up to you how you want to use them. And what I thought I would do is, I've got 3 cards that I've already made, and I thought I would share them with you briefly, and then I'll come back later and explain what I did. So I started off with simply the dies, and this was the first card that I made. And I like layering my flowers. I've seen lots of cards where these are not layered and they've simply coloured the middles. But for this one, I actually quite like the idea of the fact that they're layered up. So I've got a large one and a small petal, and then I've added a couple of leaves. And the 3 cards I'm going to share with you are, although they've got different coloured cardstock and paper, they all started out as the same basic card. So it's a bit like my the 3 cards that I do for Card and a Cuppa, and then a 4th one that I do live. So all the measurements are exactly the same. So this one I just simply die cut, glued them together, didn't put any of the little stamens on the inside, added some leaves, and then just glued a piece of the DSP to my card base strip of a different colour, glued the flowers on, added some of the really sweet iridescent pearls. Love these. At the moment you can get these for free if you purchase one of the bundles that's going to be used on the 1st of October for the World Card Making Day. So there's information about that on my blog too. And then I simply stamped the sentiment and die cut it out using a stitch rectangle, and then on the inside just simple strip of the paper to match what I'd already put on the front. This one I kind of went a little bit mad. There is a fair amount of die cutting involved, so I actually used this image, but I decided that I didn't actually want the apples. Mad, I know, but I decided that, okay, I'm actually going to use the die cuts and hide them. So again, it's 2 layers of petals, but I did actually use the stamens this time. I don't know if you can see it any better like that. I mean, hopefully I brought it the right way to the camera. So yes, so I did that. But what I did was I actually stamped this image, and then I coloured it using Stampin' Blends. So I've used Old Olive, Light and Dark. I've used Crumb Cake, Soft Suede. And then, as I said, I've just simply hidden the apples using the flowers, and then I just added some extra leaves just to give it some extra dimension, so those are on there too, and then sentiment at the bottom. And I did actually add one to the inside as well. So I think this is my favourite one that I've made. I can't see me making hundreds of these, but I know exactly who this is going to go to, so, and I know she doesn't watch this, I don't think. Anyway, and then this was the third card I made, so I thought, you know, I really do need to show what the images look like. So this is this particular one with the apple, and I'm very proud of myself because I love the colouring that I did on this one. But first of all, this is that little scallop, that really thin scallop. So I just added it to the top of the double-sided paper that I had cut out, just to frame it. Because then you've got the petal pink at the bottom, the sides, and at the top. The apples, so they were coloured with a mixture of real red, cherry cobbler, and then the inside here of the apple was coloured with the light So Saffron. But what I then did was I used the this pen on it, so the colour lifter, which took away quite a lot of the yellow, so it does actually look like an apple that's been cut open. And then the flowers are a mixture of petal pink and I'm trying to think what it is now, Daffodil Delight, and actually might be in the dark So Saffron, Daffodil Delight, and also the light polished pink, just to add a little bit of extra colour on that. So that's the third card. So I've taken photos of these already, and so I will put pictures of these up on the Facebook page, and I'll also put the cutting instructions up there too. You'll note that these two are Portray Cards. So these started off as, actually if I open them up you can see, they basically started off as an A4 sheet that way. So I cut it out 14.9 to create the two card bases. And then this one is a landscape. So I've got this piece, and then I've also got the second piece, which is what I'm going to use now. So that was originally the card stock. So it's A4, and then I cut it in half at the 10.5, and then scored it out at the 14.9, whereas the other one was scored at 10.5. So, without further ado, so I have my card base. I've got my... So the kit basically started off as the card base, a piece of basic white for the inside, piece of double-sided paper, and then two other pieces. So this is different from that one. And of course, you can use whichever side that you want to. I decided to keep it with the green because that's what I wanted to do. If you're making it and you would rather use the pink and use lots of flowers, then that's great. And then I also have another piece of basic white, which is what I'm going to be doing all my stamping on. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make a fun fold card, but it's really dead simple. And I know I've made these before, but it's kind of my go-to fun fold. Because it is so easy to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my base card and I'm going to cut a piece off here. I've got my little book here, which has got all my cutting instructions. So we're going to take this piece, and I'm going to put these out the way for a minute so that I don't get myself in the muddle. I started off with this desk really nice and tidy. It's already in a mess. So I decided today I was going to do a before and after photo. So I've already taken a photograph of it beforehand, and let's just see what sort of mess it gets into afterwards. So we're going to cut this so that I am cutting off, what was it, at 7. So I want to turn it so that I've got my score line to the right hand side, and I'm going to cut this so that it is at 7. So that's going to give me a base card that has almost half a front, and a second piece that would have gone there, but when I've finished it's going to go there. So, and that is the basis of the fun fold. It's, as I said, it's dead simple. There's no other scoring you need to do. There is more cutting of the cardstock and the paper, but really essentially the base card is now done. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Now I have my piece of white that was to go on the inside, and also my double-sided paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut both of these so that I have a piece that is 7. This is going to be 7 by 10, and this is going to be 7.4 by 10. Yep, see, 10. So that's that piece, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the piece that I want to use. So I'm going to cut it at 7 again, and again, so I've got a piece that's 7 by 10 and a piece that's 7.4 by 10. Now this piece I'm going to put to one side at the for the moment, and I'm going to put the large piece of white to one side. So what I'm going to end up with when I put them inside, I will have 2 pieces on the inside which will finished when they're together will be 14.4 by 10 centimeters. So that's what's going to get glued on the inside. You can then write your sentiment on here, or you can write over both. It's really up to you. So I'm going to do that bit and get it out of the way. I heard someone say the other day it's far easier if you just sometimes glue as you go along, because then you know that you've got less pieces to worry about, which does make a lot of sense. Oops. So I'm just going to glue the paper on first. Now I want that to be on the outside, because when that flap folds down, I want to be able to see it. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And I'm going to use the green side, the checked, or the squares, whatever you want to call it. Diamonds, really, I guess. Oh dear. I'm going to turn my card around that way so then I can actually see what I'm doing. That's about it. So I just need to make sure that I have a equal border top, bottom, and to the outside, like so. I'm not too worried about this piece because we're going to glue that piece of basic white to it, and you're not going to see that edge anyway. And I have to hope here that my maths is working. So we're just going to glue that on there so that that's the inside of our card. You won't be able to see the white because it's hidden here. But I'm not too keen on that join. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece. So this was the other piece of paper that I had, but I don't need it to be really wide, so I'm just going to cut it so that it's 1 centimetre wide. and I need it to be 10 centimetres long. And then what I will do, don't need that piece, is I will glue it to hide that join. I kind of like it to be a little neater, but I need to glue it in such a place so that when the card is shut, you don't actually see it. So the best thing to do is to open the card and put it on here, but then you could end up with it slightly in the wrong place, top and bottom. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on, and I know that I don't want too much of an overhang, so I'll just have a little bit. It does mean that I'm going to cover up more of the basic white, but hey, I just think it gives a nice finish. Oh, hello Esther, how are you doing? Yes, good afternoon to you. Actually, it's still morning here actually. It's just coming up to midday. So there you go. So that's the inside of my card done. I don't need to do anything else with that now. Now what I do have left still is the piece of petal pink that I cut off the base card, and then the other halves of the pieces from the inside. So the intention is that this will go over here like that. Now I could put this on here, or I could put it on here, which is what I think I will do. So that will get, let's see, I think that will make more sense to go that way. It's kind of a continuation then. So we're going to put that on. So that's going to get glued to there. Now you could put the white on, and you could stamp all over the white and then put that on in that position, and then use this to go on top of this piece. But no, I think I'm going to stick with this. It's a little bit narrower, but hey, I'm just making use of the paper without having to go and cut other stuff. So this is the piece that's going to go on here. Now I know that is, she says, I'm going to get my ruler out just to make sure. It should be 7 by 10.5, because it's the piece that I cut off here. So I cut it at 7. So I need to cut this piece of basic white, which at the moment is too wide here, to cut it down. So with that being 7, I need to make sure that that is 6.5. Like so. So that will go on here, like that. And then you'll want to centre it eventually and make sure that you only glue on this portion of the card so that when it opens, it doesn't stick to the back. But before we do that, we need to decorate it. So we can put that piece to one side. So what have I got left? I've got these two pieces, and I've got this double-sided paper left, and I've got my basic white for stamping on. So I think I'm going to do some stamping. I'm going to keep it simple, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece, which is like a little diamond again, similar to that pattern. I think that will look quite cute. I'm going to put that on a block, and then this time I'm going to use the single apple, but I'm going to stamp that onto the scrap so that I can die cut it out. Right then, so And I'm keeping it very simple because all I'm using is the Tuxedo black ink. Making sure that I don't have marks all over it. Trying to figure out what else to do. Should I put some more on? Sometimes less is more. I don't want to go too over the top because the apple is going to sit kind of in the middle. But if I leave that like that for the moment, I can then come back to it should I need to. So I'm going to stamp the apple. And I know there's no flowers on this. I could add a flower, and I might well do so in a minute. So I'm just going to stamp this here on the corner because I don't need to stick it in the middle of the paper because I need to die cut it. And also because I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Cut and emboss machine. Oh dear. I need to trim the cardstock down because it will not go through the machine like that. So that's that. Okay, now for some colouring. So as I said previously, I used cherry cobbler and I actually kind of went for the lighter colours and real red. That is real red, yes. I have them all sitting here on my table. I just realised I don't have the darker real red, but that's okay because I'm not actually going to use it. So first off, I don't need the dark one either, so I'm just using the lighter versions of both real red and cherry cobbler. And I'm just simply going to colour the whole of the apple, not the leaves obviously because we don't want red leaves. And I'm just using the brush end rather than the smaller tip I should say. It's not that small. So I need to colour that. Now I'm not too mad, and if there's a bit of white I'm okay with that because I know that I will be going over it again anyway. So then I'm going to use the cherry cobbler and I'm just going to highlight the apple with the cherry cobbler basically in the spots where the shading is. The nice thing about this stamp set is all the hard work of having to think about where all the shading should be has been done for us. This time I'm going to use the finer, maybe I won't use the finer tip. I'll go for the bigger, the brush tip. I do want to make sure that it all blends in. And this time I will go almost to the edge because this will spread slightly. But I just need to make sure that I've blended up all the cherry cobbler in with the red. With the real red. Could have gone for a green apple. I decided I'm going to stick with the red at the moment. I'm not up on my different types of apples. I mean, we tend to have pink ladies, and occasionally if I can find them some Bramleys to do an apple pie. My husband really loves apple pies, and I will make them when I can, but not very often. Right, I'm just going to use some crumb cake to do the stalk, and I'm also going to use some soft suede as well. I don't like a lot of soft suede on my branches. I don't know why. For some reason, it's just not what I like. But I mean, obviously, everybody has their personal preferences as to what colour they want to do their stalks. So I'm just going to keep mine slightly lighter. Right. So now we get to the interesting point, because I found out yesterday when I was doing some of my samples that my old olive stamping blend is running out of ink. So I did send a message to my husband last night saying, please could you bring my old olive stamping blends with you, because he's actually, as I speak, on a plane from London Heathrow. So I'm hoping, because these have been lying down for a while, that they will have enough ink in them to see me through. If it wasn't going to be enough, I was just going to use my ink pad and also a Winkers, the clear Winkers Stella. That would have given a sort of a nice shine to the leaves, but I quite like it like this. And I'm also going to use dark's fine. It's just the lighter shade that I'm kind of running out of, and I wasn't sure yesterday whether it was more of the fact that it was hot and humid, which was having an effect on them, because at the moment, touch wood, I'm doing all right. And because they're alcohol markers, obviously it's important to store them correctly, and also make sure that you put the lids back on when you're not using them, otherwise they will evaporate. And this is probably, knowing my luck, this is going to be where it all goes wrong, because I won't be able to blend the darker colour in. That's going slowly. There we go. Right, one apple done. And then that is why when I tell people if they want to colour on the on their envelopes, to put something on the inside, because it does come through. You can just make out some here, and obviously it's bleeding through the back as well. So that's my apple done, and I now need to cut it out, and I'm going to use my dies. So just need to find the die for this one, which is that. And I'm going to use a bit of washi tape to hold it down, because I don't want it slipping, and my plates for this are a little bit warped, which is fine. That's normal. That's what happens. But it does mean sometimes that your die's not going to stay in place. So this is the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. If you are looking in the catalogue, it will tell you, there'll be a little picture of the mini machine next to the stamp set. If the stamps, and it's usually the larger one, if those will go through the machine. Just so you know, if you're wondering what will work. No, I do have some washi tape. There it is. There's some old Stampin' Up washi tape that we had years back. Still got mine, because it still comes in handy for these sorts of things. You can use post-it notes. You can use basically what you have to hand for this. And I just don't really want it too much on the image itself. So So I just want to make sure that it just doesn't go walkabouts. Like so. Just wind that through. It's the normal cracking noise. Doesn't always happen, but if it does, don't be surprised. Don't be alarmed unless you're forcing it through. In which case, then that's going to be a problem. But the machine is supposed to be tight, and it will make noises. And as you can see, my plates are slightly warped. This one's fine. The clear ones will warp, and then the trick is just to simply turn them every so often, because when you put them through, they will bow like that. So every so often, what you would want to put them through like that, so that they will then start bowing the other way. And that's the one way of making sure that your plates last that bit longer. I mean, they always look pretty yuck after a while because of all the cutting that you do on them. Right, so let's bring everything back and find it. Here we go. So we have that, we have that. We've got our apple. Does need something else, but I'm not quite sure what at the moment. Do I put the apple here? I'm not quite sure what it needs. Let's see. Do I put some paper on there? Anyone got any suggestions as to what I could do? You know what, I might just put the apple there and then stamp a sentiment on here. Put it like that. Or we could put a flower on. I don't know that I'd want to stick a... Let's see what I've got. These are some of the die cuts that I've still got. So I've got some leaves, like so. I've got that curly bit. More leaves. I kind of went to town yesterday when I was doing this to cut them all out. I don't need that bit. What else have I got here? I thought I had a flower left, but obviously not. I was thinking maybe we could put a flower on that corner. Maybe we could put a stamped flower rather than a die cut flower. So let's go back to my piece of scrap. And we're going to quickly get the little flower. Stamp that. Again, using the tuxedo black. Few of the pearls coloured red. I could do that, Esther. I've not tried colouring them yet with the Stampin' blends because they're so pretty as they are. I'm just going to do a couple of these. I don't think I need too many. We could go completely over the top, of course, and put flowers, petals, and the pearls on. Right, that's that. And then I need my... So I'm going to use Petal Pink, because that's a very subtle pink colour. So I'll start again with the light and colour the whole thing. Again, I'm not too worried about not getting it in every nook and cranny, because it just means that there'll be some extra shading. And then I'm going to use the darker one. Like so, and again. And then I think I'm going to put a little bit of the light polished pink just in places. I know it kind of looks kind of a bit much, but by the time I've put the light petal pink over it again, it'll blend in I'll just give like a darker pink middle. Now, when I come to die cut these, you'll find that there will be a white border on it there, like there is on the apple. If you don't like that, then I suggest you do is just simply go over the borders so that when you die cut, they won't be white. And no one's to know that you did that deliberately. I'm just going to put some saffron in the middle. Don't know that that's going to show. I might end up having to find my, maybe I'll use the daffodil. Start with the lighter one. Just to give it some yellow. Right, I think those are ready for some die cutting. So because I have the two dies, I don't need to mess around and pass it through twice. I can just use it the once. So there's one die, and I'm just trying not to break my nails, getting the other one off the tape. There we go. And then we need to find the right way this goes. Ah, there we go, that's that one. And then, let's see. No, it doesn't seem to be quite right. If anyone can hear the cat. Oh dear, I will get it. I promise I'll find it the right way. Oh dear, heck. What is going on here? Did I have it? There we go, finally. And again, a bit of washi tape to hold everything down. That's one. Two, right. Sod's law, isn't it? It didn't come up when I wanted it to, but hey. Seem to remember it goes that way. That's it. That's my two flowers done. And as I said, because I actually coloured around the edge, it's not so noticeable of as having white edges, which I quite like on some of these. That's one. What did I do with the other die? Find it in a second. Oh, it's still in here. That would put that back over there. There we go. So we have an apple. We have so we could put, in theory, a flower on each of those two corners, or we could just push the apple to one side and have the flowers here. I quite like that, and some of the leaves that I've already cut. Right, okay, I think I'm there. Hopefully I'm not being too indecisive. So we're going to put this on. Like so. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this with some dimensionals. Add a few of those. I've got some the normal ones, and I think I'll just put a mini one on that leaf just to give it some support. So we're going to add that to this end, like so, and then I'm going to glue one flower, and then I'll put the other one on with some dimensionals. And again, this is personal preference. Just remember, here in the UK, if you put lots of layers on, then that just simply adds to your postage. Because the thicker the card, it'll have to go as a large letter rather than a standard. So that's that, and then I think I'm going to put some leaves on. Love the detail on these leaves. As you can see, it not only does it cut the shape, but it cuts the veins on them. So I'm going to add a couple of those on. Oops, too much glue. That's okay, because I've got a few of these to stick on. So I'm going to stick that one there. That one can go in there. And maybe, should this one have one? Maybe it should. In which case I'm just going to lift that up slightly and just pop it in there like that. There we go. So that is then going to get put on here, and again you could add it with dimensionals or you could glue it. I think I'm going to glue it because I've already got dimensionals on here. And then you just need to I just eyeball it and see where the glue wants to go, and just make sure before you do that you're actually doing the right bit. So that's the piece that I want to go on. Top, bottom, left and right, hopefully. So it's centered onto the card front. Like so. There we go. And as Esther suggested, maybe we should put some of those iridescent pearls on. Now, am I going to be brave enough to actually colour them? Let's see. I'm going to use the dark real red, I think. I don't know how long. And really you want to use the brush end. Let's see, does it take them? Oh yes. So this is a great trick if you don't have the appropriate colour embellishment that you want. You can use your alcohol, your Stampin' blends to colour them, and then just let them dry for a second or two. So I didn't use that in the end. I've got a bit of glue seeping out here, which is not good. Let's get the excess off with my finger, and then I'll take that eraser that I have to it. Right. let's see if that's dried. And take your pick tool and use the putty end, which is great for these because you can just basically pick them up by just sliding. Let's see, let's put a few on here. Problem is, I don't want this to end up looking like a Christmas card because it's not a Christmas card. There we go. And I do find that the longer you take thinking about it, the longer it takes you to actually put them on. Sometimes it's best just to go for it. And I'm just going to use this eraser. I have to say eraser because I'm in the States at the moment, and if I said rubber, then that kind of is something else over here. And I know that some American friends do watch. Right, there we go. So that is my finished card. Right, I was going to say I'll tidy up, but the whole point I was trying to get clear as much as possible. And then you can see all the cards. So I'll bring all the other cards back in so you can see them. So that's today's card. So it's a very simple fun fold. So we've got a mixture of the basic white and the paper inside, and then use the remaining pieces on the front of the card. This is one of the other apples. And then these two are the, let's see if I can get this all on here. Maybe I can if I do it like that. They fit on? I think so. So we've got, that's today's, and then these three are the ones that I have made beforehand. So we've got mixtures of stamping. These two are stamping on. This also has stamping on, because not only is there the sentiment, but the image behind the die cut flowers has also been stamped and coloured. And then this one is just primarily die cut flowers and leaves with the sentiment stamped on it. And then I could add a sentiment there, or I could stick it on the inside across the middle there. It's but I quite like it. It's nice and simple. It's and easy to make. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing my project. So Esther, yes, I did end up using coloured pearls in the end. A bit more than a few. Well, I guess 5 is a few. But there you go. Okay, well, thank you very much for spending this evening with me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this. The video will post to Facebook shortly, and it will go up on YouTube when I get a chance tomorrow. I can't see me being able to do that today. And in the meantime, I will be back next Wednesday at the same time, 7:30, for another Stamping and Creating. And then the week after that, there will be Card and a Cuppa again, so which is great. So I will speak to you next week, if not before. Take care. Bye.